Well, it was sort of the reaction after World War I.
No one in Hollywood combined brilliance and bluntness quite like Billy Wilder. The man behind Sunset Boulevard, Some Like It Hot, and The Apartment built a career on sharp dialogue, ruthless honesty, and a total intolerance for nonsense. Wilder once said directing actors was like herding cats through a typewriter. He demanded precision. Every pause, every glance, every syllable mattered. By the end of his life, the Oscar-winning legend looked back with the same candor that had defined his scripts. When asked which stars truly tested his patience, he didn't hesitate. His answers were not cruel. They were brutally honest. Wilder understood that genius often arrives late to set, argues about lighting, or refuses direction entirely. The same energy that makes someone magnetic on camera can drive a director to the edge.
But it is not a frivolous decision as to where I put the camera. Where it is economical for the telling of the story, and where it is...
Tonight, we're diving into 6 stars who made Billy Wilder lose his temper, and sometimes his voice, but still earned his lasting respect.
Now, to begin with, the whole thing was a fake because really the wind is very hot when you stand on that grill.
These stories reveal the friction between discipline and chaos, ego and artistry, order and spontaneity, the very forces that built classic Hollywood. Number 6, Marilyn Monroe, Some Like It Hot, 1959. Billy Wilder often joked that directing Marilyn Monroe was like dealing with a time bomb wrapped in chiffon. On Some Like It Hot, he discovered that behind the most famous smile in the world was a perfectionist trapped in self-doubt. Monroe's chronic lateness became legendary. In his Vanity Fair interview, Wilder recalled playwright Arthur Miller begging him not to schedule her before 11 a.m. And she never did anyway. She'd arrive hours late, forget her lines, or refuse to leave her dressing room. She was a continuous puzzle, Wilder sighed. Sometimes she cursed everyone around her. Sometimes she was radiant.
I don't know, it's something that you feel that will be funny and that you produce and direct, and then you sit back and you wait to find out whether it's a hole in the screen.
Still, once the camera rolled, the chaos vanished. Wilder admitted Monroe was an excellent dialogue actress, with flawless comedic rhythm. She always knew where the laugh was, he said. Watching her on the monitor, he realized that every delay, every tantrum, somehow evaporated into movie magic. Some Like It Hot became one of the greatest comedies ever made, largely because of the luminous unpredictability that made working with her so impossible. Wilder later confessed that he wouldn't work with Monroe again, not because of the results, but because, as he put it, "I'm too old and too rich for this kind of agony." Yet, he never stopped praising her. "When she's there," he said, "there's nothing like it. She's like the light in the room. You just hope it shows up on film." The dynamic between them captures the essence of filmmaking. Genius and frustration locked in the same frame. Wilder endured missed call times, forgotten lines, and rewrites. But when Monroe delivered that breathy line, "Where's that bourbon?" or sang, "I'm through with love," he knew it was all worth it. She drove him mad, but she also made him immortal. Have you ever worked with or known someone whose brilliance made the chaos worthwhile? Does genius always have to come with turbulence? Number 5, Humphrey Bogart, Sabrina, 1954. By the time Billy Wilder directed Sabrina, he had already won Oscars, survived studio battles, and outwitted censors. But nothing prepared him for Humphrey Bogart's ice-cold glare. Wilder had wanted Cary Grant for the role of Linus Larrabee, the buttoned-up older brother who unexpectedly falls for Audrey Hepburn's chauffeur's daughter. When Grant declined, Paramount insisted on Bogart. Wilder accepted, but the seeds of tension were planted before a single frame was shot. "I usually get along with actors," he later quipped, "except sons of bitches like Mr. Bogart." Vanity Fair. Bogart arrived on set knowing he wasn't the first choice, and he made sure everyone else knew it too.
great about the fact that everyone behaves well ultimately, and that so many people start out behaving badly in that film. And the fact that
Wilder remembered inviting the cast out for drinks after a long day's shoot and realizing he'd forgotten to include Bogart. When he finally extended the offer, Bogart declined with a thin smile that could freeze whiskey. The star grumbled that the dialogue felt like it had been written by Wilder's 8-year-old daughter, and he occasionally rewrote lines on the spot just to prove he could. The director, famous for his precision, seethed inside but refused to lose his temper. "You can't direct while shouting," he said. "You win by waiting for the next take." Yet when the cameras rolled, something miraculous happened. Bogart, famously tough, famously cynical, played Linus Larrabee with surprising tenderness.
I should prepare myself better, but unfortunately, the way the industry works, the actor is just flying in from Yugoslavia.
His guarded eyes softened, his timing slowed, and Wilder realized that beneath all that hostility was a craftsman who knew exactly what he was doing. The tension between them even helped shape the film. Linus's restrained affection mirrored Bogart's own reluctance to warm up to anyone. The result was chemistry by conflict, an energy no one could have planned. After Sabrina premiered, Wilder privately admitted that Bogart's professionalism had impressed him despite the animosity.
That's very, very helpful, but it is a luxury that you cannot always afford.
"He hated me," Wilder said, but he never cheated the camera. Bogart's performance remains one of his most understated, proving that even dislike can produce art when both men refuse to quit. Wilder later joked that if he ever worked with Bogart again, he'd keep a bottle of champagne and a fire extinguisher on set for celebration or survival. Do you think an actor needs to like their director to deliver greatness? Or can creative friction actually make a film better? Number 4. James Cagney, 1-2-3-1961. By 1961, James Cagney had been in the business long enough to earn the right to be difficult. And when Billy Wilder hired him for the Cold War farce, 1, 2, 3, sparks flew. And not just from the dialogue. The film's premise was simple chaos. A Coca-Cola executive in West Berlin scrambles to please his American bosses while negotiating with furious communists. But Wilder's direction was chaos of another kind. He wanted speed, relentless, machine gun pacing. Every line had to snap like a whip. For Cagney, who built his career on rhythm and control, it was agony. Wilder admitted later that he drove his cast mercilessly. "I wanted the fastest picture ever made," he said. "No pauses, no laughs. Just forward motion." Cagney thought Wilder was mad.
You know, he did an amazing thing, and I'll try to make this very brief. But this man's incredible perception.
According to Far Out magazine, he called the director a dictator who never allowed the actors to breathe. The two legends clashed constantly, their tempers matching the film's tempo. During one exhausting shoot, Cagney reportedly turned to Wilder and said, "You'll never get another picture out of me." He was right. 1, 2, 3 would be his last film for 20 years. And yet, Wilder adored him. Beneath the grumbling, he recognized Cagney's unmatched discipline. In a later conversation with historian Kevin Lally, Wilder confessed he was crazy about Cagney and would endure 80 or 90 takes to capture the right rhythm. He even laughed about being accidentally kicked by Cagney during a particularly frantic scene. Proof, he said, that the actor gave everything, even his foot. Their friction became the film's secret weapon. Cagney's exasperation gave his character an authentic desperation. The perfect match for a man trying to control the uncontrollable.
Und der eine Mann, der wollte seiner Frau eine Freude machen und hat ihr versprochen, er wird 2 Tickets kaufen. Unmöglich, nichts ist zu endlich um $800 kriegt er 2 Tickets wie die Matinee.
You can see it in his rapid-fire tirades, in the way his voice cracks with irritation. It's the sound of an actor channeling real tension into cinematic energy. When the film finally premiered, critics were divided. Some thought it was too fast, too loud. But over time, 1, 2, 3 earned a cult following as one of Wilder's most daring comedies. A screwball symphony set to Cold War tempo. Wilder would later smile when asked about Cagney's complaints. "He said I was a tyrant," Wilder replied, "but look at the result. The man was brilliant." Have you ever had a boss, teacher, or collaborator who pushed you past your limit, and only later did you realize it made you better? Number 3. Marta Keller, Fedora, 1978. By the late 1970s, Billy Wilder had nothing left to prove. 7 Oscars, a lifetime of classics, and a reputation as Hollywood's sharpest wit. Yet Fedora, his moody, late-career mystery, became one of his most frustrating experiences, thanks to his leading lady, Marta Keller. Wilder hoped to recapture the haunting glamour of Sunset Boulevard, telling the story of an aging movie star who hides her disfigured face behind a mask. But what he didn't anticipate was how the mask would unravel both the film and its actress. Keller, a Swiss performer rising in European cinema, had been cast to play both Fedora and her daughter. An ambitious challenge even for an experienced star.
Never set up the camera to what the French call épater les bourgeois, to astonish the middle-class man. Boy, do I have a setup.
From the start, Wilder sensed trouble. The heavy prosthetic mask caused Keller pain, and she frequently wept between takes. Wilder, never one for coddling, described her as not a very good actress, and said he regretted relying on her for such a complex dual role. "We had to use 2 actresses instead of 1, he later told historian Kevin Lally, because she simply couldn't deliver. The shoot turned into an emotional tug-of-war. Wilder wanted control, Keller needed empathy, and neither could find the middle ground. He complained that she lost focus, that her emotions were too fragile for his precision-based direction. She, in turn, felt his old-school bluntness bordered on cruelty. For Wilder, who'd worked with volatile geniuses like Marilyn Monroe and survived, this newer brand of sensitivity baffled him. "In my day," he said dryly, "the mask hurt, you still said the line." Despite the friction, Fedora remains one of Wilder's most melancholy works, his final attempt to grapple with the decay of Hollywood glamour. And ironically, Keller's visible discomfort may have served the film's theme. An actress literally cracking under the weight of illusion. Her trembling voice and uneven poise make Fedora feel disturbingly human, even if Wilder didn't intend it.
It's such a relief. Playing a character with so much character, a character with so much character she had.
Looking back, he viewed the experience as both lesson and warning. "Never cast sentimentally," he told friends. "You fall for the idea of someone, not the performance." He never blamed Keller entirely. He blamed himself for expecting magic where there was only exhaustion. Fedora was Wilder's swan song to the Dream Factory, and Marta Keller, for better or worse, became part of that elegy. Their uneasy collaboration proved that sometimes a director's greatest test isn't talent or ego, but time itself. If you were in Wilder's position, would you have replaced Keller or adapted the film around her struggles? Where should a director draw the line between compassion and perfectionism? Number 2. Marlene Dietrich, A Foreign Affair, 1948. When Billy Wilder first met Marlene Dietrich, he was in awe. She was the ultimate screen goddess, sultry, enigmatic, and commanding. But admiration quickly gave way to exhaustion when they worked together on A Foreign Affair, Wilder's razor-sharp satire set in the ruins of post-war Berlin. Dietrich's mix of discipline and diva-like control tested even his famously iron patience. She liked playing murderesses, he said years later, but she was embarrassed by love scenes. It was classic Dietrich, bold when it came to power, shy when it came to sincerity. Wilder had a particular way of describing her, a general in the guise of a lady.
We were going a little bit too fast, we were going like 50 miles an hour. And the man, naturally with the Aktentasche, is crossing the Kurfürstendamm to get to those aisles in the middle.
She came to set impeccably prepared, knowing her lighting and wardrobe better than anyone, but she also insisted on controlling them. Cinematographer Charles Lang remembered that she'd reposition the lamps herself, ensuring every shadow flattered her. Wilder admired her professionalism, but found the process maddening. "She'd give you the moon," he said, but only on her own schedule. Their creative tug-of-war came from mutual respect. Dietrich demanded perfection, Wilder demanded authority. And when their visions aligned, as in the unforgettable Black Market nightclub scene, the results were electric. Dietrich, bathed in smoky light, sings with weary cynicism, embodying both the corruption and the allure of a fallen city. Wilder later admitted that despite his complaints, no one could have done it like her. Privately, though, he confessed to frustrations that still lingered decades later. He told Vanity Fair that while he admired Dietrich's presence, he didn't consider her a great actress. "She played one part, herself," he said, before adding the same criticism about Greta Garbo, always half asleep. But Wilder also knew that charisma can matter more than range. "A real star doesn't need 100 tricks," he mused. "She just needs one, to make you look."
They say, this is very interesting, but I've never seen it before. He said that this is why I would like to make it, because you never seen it before. But how do we know that this is going to be successful? No, look, it is, there's so many nice things, but I'm not familiar with that. I just...
In truth, Wilder and Dietrich mirrored each other. Both perfectionists, both sharp-tongued, both allergic to mediocrity. Their clashes were creative friction at its finest. Two strong wills producing something neither could have achieved alone. A Foreign Affair remains one of Wilder's most underrated films, a cynical love letter to post-war Europe, carried by a director who wanted control and a star who refused to surrender it. What do you think makes a true screen legend? The ability to transform into many roles, or the power to stay unforgettable by simply being yourself? Number 1. Greta Garbo and Cary Grant. Untested collaborations. Not every test of Billy Wilder's patience came from the set. Some came from stars who never even made it there. In his later years, Wilder spoke openly about the actors who slipped through his fingers, and the frustration that came not from failure, but from almost. Two names stood out above the rest: Cary Grant and Greta Garbo. Wilder desperately wanted Grant for two of his most elegant comedies, Sabrina and Love in the Afternoon. Both were written with Grant's effortless charm in mind. But Grant, ever cautious, turned him down. Not once, but twice.
That was at the time very embarrassing. But
What happened?
what happened was that I started working with Garbo, and I just didn't measure up. I wasn't good enough for her. I was, 25 years old? That's no excuse. I mean, one could be quite good at 25.
To Wilder, it felt like losing the perfect punchline. He later joked that Grant's refusal wasn't personal, it was financial. He was stingy, Wilder said dryly in an interview. He haggled over the price of a microphone. Imagine what he'd do with a script Wilder claimed Grant wouldn't sign on until the very last minute, then backed out anyway, leaving him scrambling to recast. He was peculiar, Wilder sighed. Polite, but peculiar. In the end, Wilder replaced him with Humphrey Bogart in Sabrina and Gary Cooper in Love in the Afternoon. Both films became successes, but he never quite got over losing Grant. He was perfect for those parts, Wilder admitted, but he always played hard to get. For a director who prized punctuality and precision, that kind of uncertainty was torture. Then there was Greta Garbo, the great sphinx of the silver screen, a woman Wilder admired but could never fully understand. He admitted to being disappointed by her acting, telling Vanity Fair that Garbo always did the same half-asleep thing. Where others saw mystery, Wilder saw monotony. She was divine, he said, but always the same divinity. Unlike Monroe, whose volatility could at least produce brilliance, Garbo's consistency bored him. Still, he never denied her power. When she walked into a room, Wilder recalled, you could feel the air change. Maybe that's enough. What makes this section of Wilder's reflections so revealing is how it shows his expectations as much as his temper. He wasn't angry that Grant or Garbo disappointed him. He was frustrated because he believed in what they could have been together.
Greta Garbo. Did I ever tell you the story of her, the Tallberg building in New York?
I don't think so. Would you
In
like to?
California, yeah.
They were symbols of Hollywood perfection, and Wilder, ever the realist, was too honest to pretend perfection existed. "I demanded discipline," he once said, "because the audience deserves it." Whether they stood before his camera or turned it down, the stars who tried his patience ultimately shaped his legend. Reminders that even the sharpest directors can still be haunted by the what-ifs. Do you think Wilder was too harsh on stars like Grant and Garbo? Or was his blunt honesty simply the price of working at the very top of Hollywood's golden age? Few filmmakers ever spoke their minds as freely as Billy Wilder, and even fewer turned that honesty into an art form. When he looked back on his career, he didn't soften the truth or rewrite history. He told it exactly as he remembered it: the brilliance, the madness, and the bruises that came with both. To Wilder, the story behind the camera was every bit as fascinating as the one in front of it. He clashed with Marilyn Monroe, cursed at Humphrey Bogart, endured James Cagney's temper, and outlasted Martha Keller's tears. He battled the egos of Marlene Dietrich, and even found himself rolling his eyes at Greta Garbo and Cary Grant, stars most directors would have worshipped. Yet, for all his biting remarks, Wilder never truly hated his collaborators. His irritation was the flip side of admiration. He expected greatness because he gave nothing less himself. Looking at his stories now, it's clear that conflict wasn't a flaw in Wilder's process. It was fuel. His sets ran on tension and talent in equal measure. And when sparks flew, something remarkable happened. Unforgettable movies. Some like it hot: Sabrina, 1, 2, 3. All born from chaos, sharpened by stubbornness, and finished with Wilder's trademark line, "Nobody's perfect." In the end, that was his real message. Great art isn't neat or polite. It's loud, messy, and human. And perhaps that's why Wilder's films, and even his grudges, still feel alive decades later. Audience reflection. Which of these behind-the-scenes stories surprised you most? Do you think friction makes better films, or does it just make great stories afterward? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true tales from Hollywood's golden age.